It's Friday the 13th. Time to reveal the truths and the lie. Yeah, I'm not very good at that. Okay, first one. Number one. I have been within 50 feet of President Clinton. That is actually true. I was at the USS Cole Memorial after it got bombed in Yemen. And there were veterans, there were actual surviving sailors there. I was on the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, and we were just mostly there to look pretty. There was us on one side of the pier, and then on the other side of the pier were two other destroyers, since they were just the same USS Cole destroyer class. And Bill basically stood up there and made a speech. I was only able to get within 50 feet of him, but he looked exhausted. It was near the end of his term, and he looked dead. I mean, he looked like an old man. Fortunately, retirement's done some great things for him, and he looks a lot better now, at least on TV. Let's see. Number two. I did not own my first cell phone till last year. That is the lie. I actually didn't own my first cell phone till June of 2007. Which is odd. I always used a landline, and whenever I was trying to date during that time period, I had no social skills back then, and I didn't realize it, but once I got a cell phone, that just opened up all sorts of opportunities for me with dating, because everybody had adjusted to cell phones in the social world. Like, I relied on being at home to call someone, and they were very flexible, and the fact that I wasn't flexible really was a turnoff for some girls. I don't know. It was interesting, but it just, like, it increased my chances of actually getting dates. Just interesting. Let's see. I have been within 10 feet of President George W. Bush. That is actually true as well. The Enterprise pulled into dock, and they had been over in, I think they had finished up their med cruise and were ready to just take off. It was some sort of World War II veteran memorial service that they were doing, and Bush needed some military people to stand on the top of the flight deck and let him make a speech. So, since we were in dry dock, they pulled us all over there, and I got within about 10 feet of him, but he was shaking hands, but the crowd was too thick. So back then I was still, I think, a Republican. I think this was before 9/11, so I really had no bias for or against him at the time. I didn't really know him, and of course, the first time I voted for him because I was still a Christian, and pro-life was it was a big thing for me. Whenever I look back on it, I just smack myself in the face at how stupid I was, but that's what you get when you've been brainwashed as a creationist. Number four, I have been cornered by a pimp attempting to sell me a prostitute. That one is also true. I was over in the United Arab Emirates, and these pimps will stand on the street, and they'll go, "Do you like fine ladies?" And of course, you know, my thought was, no, they make me sick. There were guys on the ship, though, and they go, no, sheep. I want sheep. And no. Little boys, yes, little boy. No. Just basically to get him to leave them alone. But yeah, pimps are pretty common in UAE, and it's really surprising, especially since in the UAE, you're not allowed alcohol, and when we were there, you can't wear any sort of revealing clothing. Everybody had to wear, like, at least a polo shirt. You couldn't wear, like, t-shirts, because we were in their country, and it was weird. We had a very strict dress code. We weren't allowed to wear jeans, but they could pimp prostitutes. Oh, also, when we were in the hotel in Bahrain, they warned us not to tear the seal on our booze refrigerator. Can't remember exactly how that would stop it, but it made sense at the time. It's been like probably about 10 years now. But apparently, if you tore the seal, the Russian prostitutes, I guess, had keys to get into your hotel room, and they would clean out your fridge, basically, and you'd have to pay for it all. So, this was whenever we were taking a flight to Bahrain to meet up with our ship because we came in halfway through the cruise. It was really interesting. And number 5, I've worked with almost every hazard sign at some point in my life. I've worked with, of course, the trifoil with nuclear. That was my specialty in the Navy. High voltage, several thousand volts is standard for military ships. I was going to be a chemistry major, so I've worked with acid, caustic, just basically any sort of chemical. And, of course, high electromagnetism. Of course, worked with biohazard, being in the microbiology pathogens, falling hazard, and on the ship near the, if you were in the, it was an aircraft carrier, and they, of course, had explosive ordnance nearby, so I've worked around them. I've worked around nearly every single hazard site I can think of. I'm sure there's a few that I haven't that are really obscure, but it's interesting. Anyway, those are my facts and truths. I hope they were interesting. And take care. Don't let any black cats cross your path.